Welcome everybody to the studio today. It's a beautiful day here in Portland. We're going to have a nice, relaxing drawing session, so I hope you like this project. I'm really happy to be drawing for you today. This is a really lovely, majestic tree, those radiating shapes, so it's going to be really, really nice. And I'm going to give you a little inspiration, hopefully, starting out from a book that I really love. This is Fearless Creating by Eric Maisel. You might have heard me talk about him before, but I really love it. So I'm going to read this little section, and the heading is Creeping Coldness. As you work over time, you encounter natural events in the life of the work. One such event of special importance is the creeping coldness described by the painter Emile Nolde. I frequently find it very difficult, after reaching the high point of a picture, something which often happens quite early while painting, to preserve the tension until the work is completely finished. When pure sensuous power of vision relaxes, a rational coldness is all too eager to continue the work, to weaken it, and sometimes to destroy it. An artist can't help but wax hot and cold as he works over time. He perceives a mistake. Coldness sets in. He has no idea what to do next. Coldness sets in. The original idea fades. Coldness sets in. The living work takes him in the direction of red when his heart had been set on blue. Coldness sets in. The work is difficult. Ice forms around his heart. How will you rekindle the fire each time the coldness sets in? How will you maintain tension when inevitably laxness creeps in? What will you do when the high point of the work has passed? To combat coldness, you must provide your own warmth. Let your personal eternal flame warm you and mark the way. And then he has some really absolutely wonderful suggestions. Breaks. Working over time is like a dance or a boxing match. You are in intimate contact with the work, maintaining its tension as best you can, holding it night and day, lovingly holding hands with it, banging it about neck and shoulders. But sometimes you must part from the work and take a break. How long are these pauses between rounds to be? Roughly as long as the following. Start by calculating the amount of time you'll take to complete this project. Yes, that's an intuitive stretch, but seasoned artists regularly make such calculations, often with remarkable accuracy. Just take a breath and feel the whole symphony, the whole documentary, the whole self-help guidebook. Relax. Surrender. What will you do in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? It's entirely possible to know. Next, do the following. Okay, so this is a little exercise he has. Make yourself a collection of passes with an expiration date that matches the deadline you anticipate needing. If today is January 1, you estimate that the draft of your nonfiction book will take you 6 months to write. Right at the bottom of each pass expires June 30th. Include in the collection all of the following. I love this. 4 passes for I'm too dull and stupid to work today. 6 passes, I need a break to let my unconscious work. 4 passes, I really worked hard yesterday, and today I'm going to go fishing. Passes. 6. Other things are important in life, and I'm doing one of these things today. 2. I'll go to the library today. 2. I'm entertaining company. And 2. To hell with everything. I love that. So, yeah, we all need those. We need those passes for ourselves. I think it is really important to give ourselves a break, and sometimes the muse just isn't happening, and we just need to just surrender to that. But yeah, I love this book. I'll show it again just so you, in case you missed it the first time. Fearless Creating by Eric Maisel. And I heard him speak at the IAPS convention several years ago. It's really amazing. All right. And before I get started drawing, I have to talk about my drawing workshop because I'm so excited about it. And there's only a few more days left in the sale, just to the end of the month. And I had been working on that workshop for a couple years. And so I'm really happy to finally have it out there. And it's really a foundational drawing course. I designed it so skills would build on one another. And, you know, it's a really simple workshop, just a few pencils and some paper, so you can really jump in there with, you know, pretty limited expense. And I wanted to make it really affordable for everyone as well. So I think it's a pretty in-depth workshop. There's 15 hours of video, an 81-page study guide, so there's a lot to it. You get to join the Facebook group, which, by the way, is pretty amazing. You know, just seeing, so people have been working on it for a while now, and it's pretty amazing to see what people are doing. I'm just so not surprised, but heartened by everyone really digging in and bringing just such a degree of discipline and focus to the workshop. So it's really, really cool to see. And, you know, I'm planning on continuing this journey of drawing with all my students. Oh, and I wanted to mention, if you haven't caught the other drawing live streams, I did a bow, I did the rose, a lily. We did a little, like a little cup or a pitcher, a silver pitcher. So there's a few, so look for those on YouTube if you're interested, so you can kind of see what's going on there. So let's see, what else did I want to make sure I let you know about the workshop. Yeah, it's you know, we kick off the study with some warm-up and playtime just to get you in, because if you haven't been drawing recently, or if it's been a long time, or if you've never even touched a pencil, put pencil to paper, it gives you a chance to play around and get the feel of it. And then I go into the light and shadow, the form principle, which I know a lot of people are kind of like groaning about not wanting to do that, and kind of want to skip over that part because it seems like it's maybe not necessary. But if you take the workshop, I really highly recommend that you go through all the steps, because I organized it to build skills incrementally. And then I take you through some construction methods, which is the part of drawing that seems really mysterious, and we don't get to see that a lot. And sometimes, you know, you see people drawing and you think, oh, they just somehow the drawing magically appears. But usually they're, even if it's mentally, they're using some kind of construction method. A lot of times that gets erased, or like I said, it's done mentally. So I take you through construction methods, and then rendering methods, and then talking about some ideas of how to shift your brain to the right brain to see shapes, not things, which is a huge key to drawing just about, you know, anything you want. And then we get into the projects. There's a nature project, there's an animal project, and then the final kind of big to-do at the end is a pretty involved still life project. So there's a lot there. And I hope you check it out. Go to the website, paintinglessonswithmarla.com, and check out the drawing workshop. And there's other stuff there too. So if you're interested, you can definitely take a look at what we've got on the website. And I think that is about it. Let's get drawing for today. Love this tree. Now, thinking about this tree, those radiating branches, they radiate in all directions. So some of them are, you know, behind us, some are coming right foreshortened right towards us. And so that's one of the things that I think makes it really fascinating to draw trees, is that they're going out in all directions. the other thing that I think is super interesting about this particular photo reference is the cast shadows that some of those branches are casting on other branches. So to me, that makes it really, really beautiful. And then there's the texture of the bark. And, you know, the other thing I want to try to get in the drawing is just that we've got the tree trunk, and then big branches and limbs, and then those little tendrils going all the way out to the little twigs and sticks. So so there's a lot there. I'm going to start by using just my mechanical pencil, which I really like, just to kind of get just a kind of a start, just kind of block it in a little bit. And because this is a tree, it's no one's going to know if we get the proportion off just a teeny bit, so that's okay. And I'm not even going to measure. I could measure the paper and try to get it the same proportion as the photograph, but I'm not even going to do that today. I'm going to just kind of wing it. I am going to create a bounding box for the drawing. So I'll just start by doing that. And I think that's pretty close enough. And then the next thing I'm going to do, well, I better put my hair up. That's what I better do next. Okay. All right, let me get my hair out of the way. And I've got a few little tools that I might use. I don't like that kneaded eraser. I like this kneaded eraser. Okay, so the first thing I'm thinking about is, okay, how wide do I want this trunk at the bottom? And I am thinking something like that. And then I'm just going to really loosely block in a few of these main branches, just really loose and light. I'm going to use a light pencil line for that, so that if I want to adjust something, I can. And then I'll get some of these main ones, and this one's reaching way, way up. So all of this that I'm doing right now is up for revision. It can be no problem. It can be revised. I'm also thinking a lot about the negative shapes. For instance, right now I'm going to create this V, that shape right in there. So that's one of the things I'm really looking at as I'm going about doing this stage. So lots of looking for those negative shapes. And I'm thinking about the direction, so that if you think about these are just like cones, and they're what direction? So this one's going this way, this one is maybe going this way. So, you know, I'm thinking about it like that. Not cones, that wasn't the right word. Cylinders. Yeah. And then this guy down here is important. I think it's really, really beautiful, and it's kind of right there. And it comes up. It's pretty straight. And then this one goes out. And this. And, you know, if I don't get everything in here, it's okay. No one's going to know. No one is going to know. But I'm thinking through, like this guy, this branch goes right through. I want to think through. And then this one comes across. Now this guy is really, I'm going to crop it out a little bit. This one's really taking a lot of turns and twists. This gets a little thicker. And then there's another branch that comes off it in this direction. And so right now I'm just looking at the contour. So that's cool. Now let's get this one down here. Also thinking about, so it's what direction it's headed. And then it does this little turn and goes like so. And I think that's pretty good. It's a pretty good start. What else do I want in here before I... Oh, this one is interesting. This one's really interesting. It heads off. And I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to how these branches meet one another. This one is also really, really cool. It heads, it's going back behind. It comes up, and it also creates a neat sort of shape for the composition. Some of these down here. So there's a lot more that I think I want to do, but I think this is a good place to start. All right, so now that I've got that, I'm going to pick a couple of those main branches and get some value into them. Now, one thing I've got this a little too. This is not quite that thick. Maybe more like that. And then there's one comes like so. All right, that's a good start. These kind of secondary branches, we'll get some of those in too. But for now, that's a good start. All right, so now I'm thinking about, one thing I want to do. I'm going to get it. I don't have my tracing pad here. So I'm just going to grab another piece of paper that I can put my hand down on. So as I'm working, I don't smudge everything.
Reading questions about the hardness you're using, and are you going to switch it up?
I am going to switch it up, but for right now, I'm just going to start kind of blocking in some value. This is a HB number 2. And to start out with, I'm not going to press super hard. I've got some little knots here. This tree, after kind of studying it, I can see that it must be an urban tree. It's not out in the wilderness because it's got some cuts on it. So it's been trimmed, which is kind of interesting. Just going to go ahead and get some value. I'm just kind of like almost hatching. I'm just starting out to get something down. And it's mostly in shadow, so. Now you guys can go ahead and turn your paper. I try not to, and that's just for the video. But if you need to do this number, go for it. It's fine. It's a good thing to do. All right. So let's see. Oh, I've got some. Now this guy is also pretty much in shadow. And then it's got this little branch is not as, it isn't all in shadow, it's just partially in shadow, which I think is really also really beautiful. It's got a little dark on one side, but then here we go. This is where the shadow, and the shadow wraps around that shape. And then I'm going to come get maybe one of these guys. So right now I'm just kind of working fast to just get a few things established. Now right here, this little V right here, this spot right there, that's important. That's the intersection of these two shapes. Now there's a cast shadow that's wrapping around this one, and it's doing something like that. Same thing right here, that little spot. So it's saying that this guy is in front of that guy. So those little intersections are really important to really talk about the character of the tree. And then this has another shape going off of it. Okay. And then this is really interesting. It does this. So here I am, I'm kind of revising my initial drawing just a bit. It has this guy coming off of it. And then it comes back. And just you need to think through, get it, because if you don't, then that won't kind of make as much sense. And then we get out to these little bits out here. Okay. Right now I'm going to come back down to this guy because I'm getting a little bored of what's going on up there. So just to keep it interesting for myself, this is the cast shadow from this branch on the larger section of trunk. It comes down here. And this is going to be a nice area. We can start to get some texture in. All right, now here's this other branch, and there's a little bit of moss accumulating on this guy. It's kind of fun. And then the shadow. Is everything looking good? Good. I'm going to move kind of fast here just to get this initial shapes in. Oop. And I'm just looking at the shapes of these cast shadows in here. And just what's in the light, what's in the shadow. A little moss. A drawing like that, there's so much to play with. There's the gesture of the tree, those radiating branches, the cast shadows, there's the texture. So I'm kind of, at this point, I'm kind of tackling one of those things at a time. So I'm just going to get the shapes in of the shadows, and I'm going to swing back around to getting more texture. See right there, there's a little spot on the tree that's been trimmed. And there's a little bit of light spilling onto that branch. And this one really does a lot of twists and turns. And then this other branch comes off of this. Again, that little Y section right there. And then this guy. So I'm thinking about not just the thick and thin of the actual branches and limbs, but the thick and thin of my line. So my thought is to use a stronger, and I'll restate some of these lines. The branches that are nearest us, coming towards us, will have a stronger application of the graphite. Maybe a thicker line, maybe some darker areas. Yep. Now I've got too much lead hanging out there. So that's when I'll start employing maybe some other pencils. I just happen to really enjoy the feel of these mechanical pencils, so that's really why I'm using it. There isn't a technical reason why I'm sticking to it. It's just I like it. And this has another branch off of it too. Again, the cast shadow is, helping to describe the form, that cylinder shape of the branches. We can get out here. It's really fun. One of the things I love about drawing is it really connects me with my roots as an artist. And I started out as a young kid drawing, and I just drew everything. And it's a good thing to do that. It's a good thing to feel into, why did you start that journey? What was it that you loved so much that you kept going? I think that's really useful. Kind of like Eric Maisel was talking about, how to stave off that coldness. And connecting with why you love it is one of those things to do. Okay, so there's so much in here. Just maybe start playing with a little idea of the bark and the texture. Okay. My mom's probably watching this, and she's probably like, she knows, she remembers when I just drew everything. I used to get her to get library books for me so that I have things to draw. I mostly wanted to draw animals. That was my big thing. Okay. What? All right. Now maybe it's time to start playing with some couple things here. Maybe some of those secondary branches. Maybe getting into a little bit more texture. Oh, is that what it was? Oh gosh. The technology is always a challenge. Never seems like, no matter what you do, you can't get it 100%, but we're also always adding on and trying to improve. So whenever you do that, sometimes it opens up a can of worms. Okay. It's not a bad thing, though. All right. So that's cool. Then there's this one. I don't know, how do you like love a particular branch on a tree, but I think it's possible. This one, because it's got this cast shadow from the other branch. It just makes it look cool. And this guy, same thing here. It's got a cast shadow from the branch above it. It's so neat. It's also neat that this one is kind of almost all in shadow. It comes up here and it takes a turn right there. And this one comes behind it. Draw through. There we go. Okay. It's starting to take shape. Though there's one little thing I'm going to actually erase. I want to change the shape of that. Because I think that there's a little bit more interesting take on it. Oop. Not that that was wrong, because it wasn't, there's no wrong here. Just think that it could be a little more interesting. As it goes like that, and then it kind of curls around on itself. Almost looks like a little hand. All right. Then there's this one. Again, those cast shadows are helping to describe what's going on. And now, playing with some of these smaller branches, and I think I want to do that. This one kind of comes down. And then it turns up. And then let's just play with a few of these really small ones as they get out here. And just kind of, you can use a little bit of a light wispy stroke with the pencil and some dots. So yeah, that's starting to take some good shape. Now let's strengthen some of these. So let me come over to, I'm going to get a 4. This is a 4B. Nice and sharp. All right. Okay. So this guy definitely and there's some branches that go right across this. And this is, and just to show you, I don't have time to finish everything about this, so we might not. I'm going to come in and soften with the stump some of this. So to me, what that's going to let happen is the areas that I want to have a little more texture get to be contrasted against this little bit smoother section. That makes sense. You can also use this out here like so to kind of describe some of these little wispy bits. Just lend a little more character to it. And how about this one? This one's all in shadow and it's pretty close to us. So that texture is really only going to be obvious in the light, not so much in the shadow. So I'm on pretty solid ground in that case to soften some of the areas that are in shadow. Okay, let's get this. This one is a really neat branch with those cast shadows coming across it. And it's turning away from us. So I don't want to get it too strong because it's actually moving away a little bit. There's a little bit more shadow right here. So coming across that contour a little bit to describe it. And then this one is also really interesting. And then it dips into shadow as it comes down. Cool. Looks pretty good. Maybe some little bit of texture in the light. I'm still thinking about, as I'm adding the texture, I'm thinking about the shape, the form of the tree. And a couple little things to erase. Some of that construction that wasn't totally what I wanted. That initial drawing is, always open for revision. And as I said, that's the part what we don't see in a finished drawing, or sometimes even when an artist is in the midst of drawing, they're doing that mentally. So it seems so magical. And that's cool, but if you're trying to learn, it doesn't really help. So during the workshop, I really go through, kind of not taking the magic away from drawing, because it is pretty wonderful, but I guess demystifying it so that you can do it. And this, there's all kinds of really cool, thick and thin. So I'm using a little bit lighter touch with these branches that are headed away from us. So this one, need to get it darker. Need to put the shadow side. This is the form shadow. So both the form shadow and the cast shadow help describe whatever it is you're drawing. And that little mossy area. It's pretty cool. And then this one, so it's headed away. This one is headed away. So a little bit lighter touch. And some of these little wispy shapes. And just kind of not trying to get it exact, but just kind of get the character of these little tendrils. That's one of the things I do love about winter, is that you get to see the structure and the armature of the trees, which isn't as obvious when they've got all that foliage on there. There's such a beauty in that structure. Okay, I think this one would be nice to get a little bit darker. And I maybe don't have all the intricacies of everything or the direction exactly right on these, but overall the kind of structure of it I think is pretty good. All right. There's another knot or cut right there. Maybe there's a few spots to do a little blending. That's pretty good. Let's take a look. There's actually, I don't know if you guys can see it, in right here, it almost looks like there's a little birdhouse right there. I'm not going to put it in, but I think there is. This photograph is from Unsplash, so I did not take it. So I don't know. Okay. Now, this one little section right there, it is actually kind of bothering me because it does look like a hand like this kind of to me. And I don't want that, because I don't want to look at the drawing and go, oh, is that a hand? I don't want that, so I'm going to change it. When something looks in nature that takes on that human vibes, it can be distracting. So I'm going to change this whole thing. I mean, it could be cool, but there, it's still doing that little curve that I wanted, but now it's not quite as obvious. So I think that's good. Okay. And I think I'm gonna blend this a bit. Right. And maybe a little more texture here and there. And I think there's a couple little construction lines maybe come in here a little bit like so. So it's kind of a little bit more consistent throughout. And maybe this wants to be just a little darker. Yeah, that's good. It kind of gives it a little more form. Kind of pops forward a little bit more. I like that. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I could take questions a little bit if anyone has them. Do we have any questions, Bryce?
How do you decide which kind of marks and which direction to make the marks?
Okay, so I'm letting the form help me decide. So I'm trying to do a couple things with the marks. I want to describe the form. I want to describe the texture. So and as I said, so some of these branches are headed away from us, so they're more distant. So I'm using a thinner line for those than I would on the ones that are stronger and coming forward. And mark making, it's just like with pastel painting. What kind of mark making you do, it is very personal and individual. So that's there's some aspects of it that are just kind of go towards an idea of style, I would say, and that's a very ambiguous thing, but everybody has their own kind of personal handwriting when it comes to drawing. And just one thing I would say about that is when you're just starting out with drawing, I would try to practice as many kinds of marks as you can and practice with as many kinds of pencils and different tools. And some of them, like I like these Create a Color monoliths because I like the way it feels in my hand. I like these because I like the way they feel in my hand. And I also can, with this does this very, very well. This does it too, but there's just something, it's very tactile. So I would say, oops, there goes my mic. Is it still on, Bryce? Yep, okay. Yeah, again, I would just practice different kinds of marks, and that in the workshop there's a whole practice section, and I was really amazed by some of the student work that people made, they just went on and on with that. They made charts and just, you know, that's one of the exercises, to make a little chart, but some people just took off with it and just like, it's pretty amazing. And that's the right thing to do when you're just starting out, and like practice and, you know, see what kinds of patterns and marks and textures that you can get, and how can you get it. Can you do what can you do with a stipple? What can you do with lines closer together, lines farther apart, all that stuff. It's kind of endless. So that's a long answer to that question, but okay.
What kind were the stumps you're using?
Oh, they're rich. I think they're Richardson. Yeah, yep. And Richardson, I think that's how it's pronounced. And I've got my electric eraser here, but today I didn't use it. Kind of pretty simple. And this paper that I used today is Arches. I don't think I mentioned that. It's Arches watercolor paper. It's hot press.
And that eraser is
This is a kneaded eraser. It's not the usual one, and these are a little hard to find. So when you buy it, it's kind of a mauvey pink, and so it looks closer to a pink pearl kind of color when you buy it. But these are a little hard to find. So this kind is really easy to find. But see this one, it's a little softer. It kind of warms up in my hand, and to me, like, I don't know if some of you guys probably do this too. I walk around the house with this in my pocket, kind of in my hand, and it's kind of like a worry bead to me. I'm like always working this thing. Yeah, it is. It's just like that. Yeah, for sure. Anything else before we say goodbye for the afternoon? Oh yeah, promo. Yeah. Put up the workshop design. It's really cool. That's one of the several of the projects are featured there on the cover, and there's the study guides. So yeah, so there's only a few more days, just till the end of the month, and yep. All right. Well. Oh, and you can go on my YouTube channel, and please, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to videos. That does help us out, surprisingly. But there are other drawing videos on the channel. There's the lily, the rose, the pitcher, the crane. I think that's it. There's the bow. Yeah, there's a few, and there's a couple mini lessons also on the site. If you haven't gone to the website and signed up for my mini lessons, head over there and do that, because those are absolutely free, and I try to give some good information, good, useful, valuable stuff in those as well. All right, is that about it? All right, have an enjoyable weekend. I hope you get to draw or paint, and we'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed the project. Okay, bye.